Hey, so we are on lesson number 5. We just went over some exciting things in lesson 4, and now in lesson 5, we're going to start talking about sending out your first round of letters, right? The processes, and even what to expect when you send out letters. And we're going to get into the different types of options when you're sending out your first round of letters. We're going to get you going on the right foot, right, and get through this process completely seamless, right? So let's get this thing let's get this thing going, right? So this is to help you see the disputing process, right? Like, I want you to visualize this process a lot better as far as like from start to finish. So I'm going to do my best at getting you to help you see the disputing process, right? So there's a different ways that you can go about like the process of credit repair, but I recommend that you go with the easiest options first. Some people may call it like go for the low-hanging fruit, right? Because there are different options. Like, you have the verification process, right? You have the factual process, right? And you have the validation process. So those are 3 different processes that you can go with when just starting off with credit repair. And where do you start, right? So to start with the verification process, because that's the easiest, right? And you'll be surprised to see how many items get deleted because furnishers, they just don't respond in time, which is that 30 days, right? And they fail to verify an item is accurate or inaccurate, right? But let me just explain to you what's the difference between those processes, right? Like the verification, the factual, and the validation, right? So here's the difference. Verification, you're verifying something, right? So this is when you place the burden of proof on the credit bureaus, right? So you're asking them that, hey, like, you found a problem, and it's up to them to go verify and or delete the information, right? Because you found something that was questionable, incomplete, inaccurate. Factual now is when you're disputing based on the actual fact, right? And the based on some of the actual fact that it's inaccurate, it's outdated, right? So let's just say, I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just say if you have an inquiry and it's past the time, right? You actually disputing that is a factual dispute, right? So let's talk about validation. This is one that most people get wrong, or they get confused with verification, right? So validation is when you demand that the furnisher provide proof, right, that the account is accurate, right? So this is not sent to the bureaus, right? This is sent to the furnishers, the debt collector, that company, right? So validation is when you're seeking validation on an actual item that's there. All right. Hopefully that made sense between the verification and the validation. The most important part on the validation is that the information that you're validating with the furnishers and not with the bureaus, right? So let's speak a little bit more of the factual. I think I really covered on it, but so factual is like if you know any factual items that is inaccurate or incomplete or outdated, right? You should go for that first too, right? That you can do in round 1, right? Because it's an easy target, right? So another example is like if you know that you have a collection on your report that's supposed to be removed and you have the written proof from that collection company, right? Like, mail that in with your dispute letters, right? So another example is like if you have a late payment and it's past 7 years and it's 7 years and it's still on there, you want to dispute that. It's factual. It's easy to go for it, right? So let's get into the round 1 letters, right? So most companies here in America, right, like essentially all send out the same round 1 letters, right? I don't want you to know that. So like, there's no actual wrong way to do this, right? So you can use like softwares like CRC, which is Credit Repair Cloud, right? And other platforms, right? They have tons of credit repair platforms. You just have to change the reason and the instructions on that first round one letter, right? To match your sense, right? So like, but here I want to drop to you like a golden nugget that most people may not be aware of. You want to make sure and dispute just 5 items at a time per credit bureau, right? Because once you do more than that, then it just seems like it's frivolous, right? Like you're just sending in so much at one time, and you may not get the results that you're seeking within right away, right? So you want to like take your time with it. Do 5 items at a time per credit bureau, right? So I know you heard me just say like the reasoning and the instructions. So let's break down that a little bit. So the reason and the instruction section of the letter, like most people tend to feel like the bureaus would disagree with them, so they may feel intimidating on this part. But I want you to know that most of the bureau's process is done by a machine, is done by computers, and like they even have machines to like open the letters and scan what it is that you wrote, right? So the only human part, which is probably only like 5 or 10% of it, is that they're going in and they're actually reading the reasoning and the instructions because they want to match it to that identifying code. And then they just input it right back into the computer, right? So you want to make sure, and don't be too afraid to do this, right? Like, don't be intimidated by this part. Like, you're literally just like picking out a reason of why you want something, or why you're verifying, or why you're doing this factual dispute, and then you're telling them exactly what it is to do, right? So I want to give you like some common reasons and some common instructions that most people may go through, right? So some common reasons are the following information is not mine, right? Or the information is inaccurate, right? Or the following information is outdated and it should be removed. Or, I mean, again, like there's truly no wrong way to do this, right? The instructions part of it is where you tell them what to do in a polite way, right? So let me just give you some examples. So you say like, hey, please correct my report by removing this late payment off of my report. Or for collections, right? It's like, hey, please remove this misleading information off of my report. Or if you have a collections, like say that it is yours, but if they have the wrong status date, right? Or something is just wrong, right? So just tell them like, hey, please investigate this and remove the inaccurate information, right? So again, when you're doing your letters, like make sure you add your driver's license, your proof of address. And you really only need to do this the first time that you send out the letters in your first round. Most people, oftentimes tend to send the driver's license and the proof of address with, round 2, round 3. But you don't have to do it with that. You really initially need it for round 1, right? So, and again, like some other things you can have, like if you have proof, again, make sure that you send it in, right? With the letters. So like example, if a debt collector agreed to delete an account, right? Oftentimes this would be in a pay per delete agreement with you and a debt collector, add that in there. Or even if you were a victim of identity theft, right? Like include that letter in the dispute round too, right? So when the letters are sent out, you want to wait 30 days. They have 30 days to respond. You want to at least give them up to 45 days, because by the time they send it, so the range is really 30 to 45 days. And here's the most important part, right? Like when you get the letter, right, there's typically 2 types of response that you're going to get, right? You're either going to get like a stall letter. A stall letter comes in various of different ways, right? I'll tend to I can break it down now, right? Like they can say like, hey, like it looks like you use like a credit repair company to do it, right? So they're stalling. Or they may say, oh, we're not they're using words to make you want to give up, like, oh, we're not gonna remove these items. All these are stall tactics, right? Because these letters are designed, these responses are designed to get you to give up. With credit repair, you have to be consistent, right? You have to keep chipping away at it. So another response that you may get may be an actual investigation letter, right? So if you were to get a stall letter, right, just read it, you'll recognize that it's a stall letter, and then you know what to do, right? You send them a reinvestigation letter, right? That's what you do, right? So, but if you do get an investigation letter, I just want you to know what it looks like, right? So it will come in a couple of pages, right? With, you know, your consumer rights, letting you know the rights that you have. It's also going to have a blank page. They leave a blank page there purposely. And then they're either going to, after that blank page, they're going to have like a full or partial credit report, and then the investigation results on the page, right? So this is the page that's going to list all of the accounts that was investigated, right? And the outcome of the investigation. So this is the part that we want to look into, right? And we'll get into that, you know, a lot more deeper into the next part of the next lesson, because I want you to be able to read this, and I want you to be able to respond to the investigations correctly and know which letter you're going to go about, right? So again, we want to break this down, make this digestible in which way. So let's jump right into the next lesson there, and come on, let's go. Welcome.